you're supposed to know that we're not active.
Okay. I was like,
Remember, I told you that you're going to come to bed. Yeah, I'm not going to are you touching right now? And let me see, let me have all this going on. Yeah.
I'll get you up to 200. Right? So you think you sent me 90 or 80 something?
Or 76, yeah, right.
Damn AI. Ask you know do one thing for me and it does it.
Give it to me, so like, even if some of them are repeats, we're going to give me a 100 or 200, whatever, it'll just take the ones that are not on the yeah.
Oh, okay. So I brought my laptop during this.
Okay.
Work on some stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue to work on marketing aspects.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Oh, a little louder. Hi, everyone. A little louder. Good morning, everyone. We're going to be getting started. So if you'd like to take your seats, thank you. Good morning, everyone. We're going to be getting started. So if you could please take your seats in the gallery.
Good morning, everyone. If you can make your way to your seats, we're going to get started here shortly. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 9:06 a.m. We'll go ahead and start with the land acknowledgement. Associated Students recognizes and acknowledges the first people of this ancestral and unceded territory of Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians that is now occupied by our campus of California State University Northridge, honors their elders, past and present, and the descendants who are citizens of the Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians. Associated Students recognizes that the tribe is still here, and we are committed to lifting up their stories, culture, and community. I'll now hand it over to Attorney General Martinez for the roll call.
Vice President Khan. Here. Senator Aronson.
Here.
Senator Basilio. Here. Senator Flores. Here. Senator Gavino. Senator Heminiano Aragon.
Here.
Senator Harris. Here. Senator Covinia. Here. Senator Miyoshi.
Here.
Senator Nunez. Here. Senator Olgun. Here. Senator Perez. Here. Senator Pulliam. Senator Toledo Carranza. Here. Senator Shirazadi.
Here.
Senator Chen.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion on the floor for the approval of the agenda from February 17th, 2025? Senator Shirazadi.
I move to approve the agenda of February 17, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Pulliam. Is there any discussion on the approval of today's agenda? Seeing no discussion, if there are no objections to the approval of today's agenda, they will pass unanimously. Are there any objections? Seeing no objections, the agenda for February 17th passes unanimously. We'll now move on to the approval of the minutes from February 10th, 2025. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Nunez.
I move to approve the minutes of February 10, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Perez. Any discussion on the approval of the minutes from February 10th? Seeing no discussion, we will take this to a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes for February 10th, 2025, please raise your hand. This passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move on to special presentation. That's why we're all here. For the Associated Students President's Day. Give me one moment. I'll go ahead and say some words, and then I'll pass it on to President Beck. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to all of our previous AS presidents and vice presidents that have paved the way for this organization and future leaders to follow. As you all know, Associated Students is more than a governing body for our CSUN students. It serves as a true testament to the passion for service and advocacy that you all have. And that probably started by serving students here and has branched out to other parts of society following your terms. Each of you has played a role in shaping this legacy. Your leadership helped build initiatives, programs, and policies that still impact our students today, which I'm assuming most of you will touch on today when speaking to the board. AS has always and will continue to thrive because of the time, effort, sacrifices, and devotion you have put into our organization. And for that, we'd like to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Before closing out, I would like for us to take a moment of silence to honor the passing of a longtime friend, mentor, and AS Executive Director, David Crandall. Thank you. All right, now I would like to introduce President Erica Beck, CSUN's University President, for her remarks.
Well, good morning, Senators. It's good to be with you on this President's Day, and it is wonderful to see so many former CSUN AS presidents and vice presidents here as well. I will say, just as a personal point of privilege, I love this tradition, and I love having the opportunity to be here with that continuity in student leadership that makes this university so spectacular. And having been here now for a while, I actually have the pleasure of seeing some of the former AS leaders that I have worked with personally. So that's actually really nice to start to see that as well. I want to begin by thanking all of our current senators for your leadership. It is so very important. It is so appreciated. It is at a point in time in which so much of the world is divided. You are all helping us to stay united as matadors. And to our former leadership who've invested so much of themselves in this spectacular university, well known for inclusive and academic excellence, and continuing the tradition. We often think about our leadership time, I know I often do, in segments in which we were personally present. But I think today helps us remember how leadership builds upon itself over generations. And the culmination of that is this really incredible community full of the rich collection of identities and lived experiences, perspectives that come together as matadors. It is a really unique and wonderful place to be. I'm so grateful to be here with all of you. I want to thank all of our former leaders, many of whom I know well, for staying engaged. I know you are all aware they're involved in every asset of the university. I see them in lots of different places, but also, as President Karum remarked, also as leaders outside of the university and helping us all to realize a more equitable, just, and learned future. I'm very proud to be a Matador president here today. I appreciate all of your ongoing work, and delighted to have the opportunity to welcome all of our leadership and say, I'm so proud to be a Matador, and I'm most especially proud to be a Matador because of all of you and your ongoing commitment. So thank you, and thanks to ACE for hosting this wonderful tradition. Thanks.
Thank you so much, President Beck. We appreciate your leadership and your kind words. All right, now, and I don't think, no particular order. I'd like to invite all of our past presidents and vice presidents to the podium to introduce themselves, say whatever they'd like, and yeah, have fun. Who's gonna be first? Nice.
So I was vice president in the spring of '89, my senior year, before I left. But before that, I was a senator and represented the School of Engineering. And I won Senator of the Year award. And on account of that, if you look at what happened in '88, '89, there was some turmoil happening in AS. So I was called back to serve in that capacity. And I was very happy to do so before I left LA to go to graduate school and then across to the other end of the country. So I came back to California recently, and I mentioned to some of the young people here that I'm working on my bucket list because I was an academic, so therefore I, count to number 10, nobody volunteers, I go for it because you gotta get the process moving. So once the first person is happy to speak, everybody else can do it and they don't feel so aware. So I'm doing my surface still. I just completed, so I came to CSUN. I'm a first generation a scholar. I went on to graduate school, became a professor, and then I had a lot of problems because as a brown woman, first gen, and certainly in engineering, all of these identities did not help me. So I had a very difficult time, but the ultimate goal was always to do something for society. In that awakening of how to do it as a scientist, but also as an activist. So I just wanted to mention this place is one of those places where you can really see yourself able to do other things. So just to close it, because I can speak all day. So this kind of activism that you start at this level, you can translate outside, just like Dr. Beck mentioned. So I am the chair for the Representation and Equity Affairs Committee, that's DEI for you, for the American Association for Aerosol Research. So I do this with professional societies now. I'm also the co-chair for the Tau Beta Pi Engineering Honor Society at the national level, trying to promote diversity, because in engineering, we don't have many women still, and certainly people of color. And even if they do, usually people don't see us as the excellent ones. So we have to be visible. So that's part of my mission. You can be the excellent one, even if you're the brown, poor, Latina, okay? And you can speak with pride about that culture and about the excellence in the classroom or in the science that you do, because I'm a researcher too, all in one phrase, and be authentic and proud. So I just want to say this, those sort of identities develop in places like this. So for those of you who are thinking, what are you going to do after that? Believe me, there's a lot more that you can do, especially in these times. We need people of conscience, people who are intelligent, and they believe in science. I'm a scientist after all. So, we can do it all together, but it has to be done by the right people. And we have to be active. We cannot sit there and watch, because what's happening is really threatening. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Lupita Montoya, and I'm sitting here. I would love to talk to all of you if you have time for me. Thank you.
As a speech professor, I know that you're shocked. I'm not going to read this, but I'm going to pass these around. I'm John Cagle. I started here in February of 1962, and I wanted to be a playwright, and I majored in theater, and I had a wonderful experience. So many tremendous professors that I had. Bill Schlosser was, God, this tall, and he'd say, first day of class, "My name is Schlosser." That is spelled G-O-D. You should already have half a page of notes. But anyway, so I was privileged to be student body president 66, 67. And there were a lot of things that we did during that year in student government and things on campus to facilitate different things. The thing that is hard to believe today is that there was a time there really wasn't a San Fernando Valley State College. There were no football, basketball teams because there was no gym, no gymnasium, no place to play. There were virtually no classrooms anywhere on campus. Lindley, which is now a beautiful street, used to be a ravine and a river, kind of like the LA River when it rained. And so the theme of the early San Fernando Valley State College years was that we were always building something. The college was brand new. There'd been no traditions ever before. There was nothing like fraternities or sororities. Nothing was here. So it was all a continual program of inventing things, starting student newspapers and things like that. And so when I was trying to think of what to share with you, I thought about something I wrote, which I distributed there. That was 27 years ago, the 40th anniversary of the birth of San Fernando Valley State College. There was a special alumni publication, and various people were invited to write some memoir about what it was like to be there in the early days. And that's just what I did. I don't think they expected 8 pages of scholarly writing, but there it was. But what I tried to capture was what it was like to be a student in those days. In those days, registration was $47. I remember telling my mother how impressed I was when I went to buy all of my books, 8 books for history and this and this and this. And the total was $47, the same amount as the tuition. I said, well, this is going to be interesting. So as I was going through college, I got involved in student activities, and I was in a fraternity. We were all locals then. There was a prohibition of being affiliated with nationals for over 10 years. And some of the groups affiliated earlier than that. But one of the nice things that most of us had was a fraternity or a sorority house, because you could still rent houses for under $10,000 a month or something, which apparently has changed today. But so I was there during those years, and if I had anything that was common to my entire education, I was kind of a storyteller, and I like to tell stories. I wrote the Interfraternity Council rush brochures for about 5 years. And I did a lot of things like that. And what I learned in college was stuff from student government and from student activities that stayed with me my whole life, my whole professional life. And I'm eternally grateful for it. So anyway, we did some things we were very proud of. We stood up to Ronald Reagan on tuition and had a statewide campaign of information. And he actually changed his mind. And he said, as long as I'm governor, or have any political influence, we will not have tuition in the state of California anymore. So he didn't propose it any further than that and was true to his word. And that was one big thing we did. There were other things that I was proud of that we did, like if you ever heard the bells playing on campus, the Carillon bells, that's thanks to Wendy Johnson. She was senior class president. I was junior class president. And she said, Kegel, do you got any money left in your budget? And I said, yeah. He said, why don't we buy these Carillon things and look at the tradition that'll be. So that was a long time ago. So anyway, I left here and I got a PhD at Iowa. And then I started teaching at Fresno State University, where I stayed. And there are a lot of things I was proud of there. And some of it came out of student government, you know, the feeling that, well, no one took teaching seriously. So how come they don't evaluate teaching? Well, when I was on the State Academic Senate, I developed a proposal for student evaluation of instruction as a requirement statewide, and also peer evaluation. As a new professor, I couldn't get a professor to walk in my class and look at teaching. I'm not going to violate your academic freedom. That was basically the blanket over it. And so we did that. And I also got involved with things like the Educational Opportunities Program. And we're so excited about having 300 students a summer. We started what was called Summer Institute. And you know how you work so hard? Who has time to evaluate what you're doing? Well, the California legislature evaluated it, and they found that we had the 4th highest graduation rate in the country for at-risk students. And then they started the Summer Bridge program that still exists today. And that was stuff that I was involved in part because I went to San Fernando Junior and Senior High School, in part because I went here. And anyway, so it's a pleasure always to come back. And I invited a friend from junior high and high school, and she was Pan Hellenic Inter-Sorority Council president at a very pivotal time when the Nationals were just coming in and they were just getting housing, but there was no zoning for it. And she was very responsible for getting those things changed. And I was always cognizant of working with big teams of people, good friends, and we all had shared visions of what can we do to make the place better and happier. So thank you for making my life happier over all these years. I'm not going to do the math. Keith Richards and I are pretty much the same age for 2 months out of every year, but that's a long time ago. So God bless everybody.
By the way, Bill Amata, it was great to see President Kegel. But anyways, I was in 1979-80, the student body president then. My pronouns are he, him. And when I was student body president, we were activists. And by the way, we fought the student union. The student union was trying to move us from this small office into even smaller office. And we actually said, no way, student union, you're not going to be doing that to us. But during my term, we united the college campuses all around the city of LA. 13 colleges got together. We started the LA Collegiate Council. And the first thing we did was we fought against City Hall. City Hall wanted to change the way apartment owners treated students. So with the 13 different campuses, USC, UCLA, Pierce College, Cal State LA, we all went to City Hall and said, absolutely not. Students will not be discriminated by their student status. That law continues to exist today. Metro, they tried to eliminate student bus passes. We fought against the student bus pass being eliminated, and that student bus pass remained during my term. I'm not sure about now, but we also did things around campus that are unique. Some of my predecessors, we met with the president of the university every single week. And if President Beck isn't doing that, I want to encourage her to do that. Student body president, you should be meeting with the president of the university weekly. And we had lunch meetings. We used to fight over everything, but it was kind of cool. And one of the things that we fought over was to bring a president, an executive from the Palestinian Information Office, which was called the PLO, but not here in the United States because the Palestinian Liberation Organization was not recognized. We fought to make sure that Palestinians were represented in this conversation, and it was the first time we ever brought a Palestinian leader on campus. And the president of the university actually said he was going to veto it. And my comment to him was, if you veto it, we're going to take you to court. And that Palestinian speaker was allowed to speak. So I do want to encourage you to continue to be activists, continue to lead, and do a number of things. I also wanted to mention that one of the things we did was that we didn't like the bookstore. The bookstore was gouging students. You would sell your books for a very small amount of money, and then they would raise the price on the students so that it would cost more. So we got smart. We decided to beat the bookstore. We were collecting books. We would give you more money for your books, and you would pay less for the books. The bookstore got smart, ended up taking books sooner. We also started a record store. Believe it or not, LPs are popular again. We actually had a record store, and back then CDs were popular, so we started a student record store on campus. What else do we do? So I just want to let you know that it's very important that when you leave campus, stay involved. So I'm still involved in the campus. I am funding a program so students at Cal State Northridge will have an opportunity to work with public media. So I provided a pretty significant grant for PBS and Cal State Northridge. So students will have direct access to the media organizations that are most important to you. I also started the National Millennial and Gen Z community to give Gen Zers a voice, not only with corporate America, but with governmental agencies and nonprofits. And I'm funding the gaming room because Cal State Northridge finally have women on gaming teams. And as soon as that happened, I said, I'm going to fund the gaming room here. I own an advertising, public relations, and marketing firm. It's 30 plus years old. Sold that company a little while ago and still continue to be involved. And I want to encourage you that once you leave campus, stay involved. It's very important for all the generations that follow you. And that's it for me. Thanks so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Beverly Ntagu, and I served during the 2018-2019 academic year. It's great to see all of y'all. Y'all look good. Y'all look good. I didn't prepare anything to say, so I will kind of go through memory lane. CSUN, I was talking to one of the senators earlier today, wasn't my first choice, but God brought me here, and it really changed me as a woman, as a leader in many different ways. When I first came here, I told myself, you know what, Beverly, you're gonna say hi to everybody who walks by you. And I did. And from there, I got to understand the culture and meet people from different walks of life that have been through so much, that how they got here, if they came here and left and came back, whether they have been working here for 50 plus years, if they've had met their life partner here. Like, I've met so many people, and that inspired me to get involved. So I worked in the dorms, worked in the USU, I played basketball, I did everything I could possibly do to really embrace being a Matador. And I shout out to President, I forgot his last name, but Svag. He called me and essentially wanted me to be a senator. So I started as a senator my sophomore year of college, and that really introduced me to AS and what being a leader really meant, because each and every one of you have a story, and each person who comes here has a story. So you're not just representing your college, you're representing everybody who looks like you, who has a background just like you, who has had struggles like you. For me personally, I experienced loss for the first time being at this school. My dad passed away while I was here, and the people behind me, there are many people that are sitting behind me that helped me through that, that really got me to be who I am standing in front of you. It was very, very hard, but AS is like a family. Everyone next to you is your family member. Whether or not you know each other very, very well, you will during this time, or you have during this time, but know that no matter what you do in your position, how you show up in class, how you show up in your family, That's who people want to see. That vulnerability of what you've been through, people need to hear that and see that. So I just want to leave you with, don't forget your why. Don't forget what it's going to take to get what you need. You've heard from the previous presidents earlier today. It's not going to be easy. You are the liaison between the students and their experiences, and you're gaining wisdom from the administration. So balancing that could be very difficult, but know that you have each other to lean on. You have people to lean on, to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. My president and vice president, take a break if you need it, because it is going to be a lot, but know that you are very well supported. And like our previous speaker just said, all that you're doing here in this space will follow you post-grad. It will follow you in your workspace. It will follow you in your family. So don't forget, again, who you are, what your why is, and the fact that no matter what you do and say, you're leaving a legacy behind you. Deborah Hammond, who recently retired, used to always tell me, it's not about you. It's about those coming before you, those that are next to you, and those coming after you. So I wish you all the best. It's great to be here, and I'm excited to get to know y'all.
Good morning. My name is Chris Willett. I was AS Vice President in 2012-13 and President in 13-14. I actually started in AS as a graphic designer in the marketing department working for Kevin. So that was the best time of my life. I really enjoyed being president. I honestly can't remember a lot of what I did. I stayed pretty involved with student leadership after I graduated. I worked for CSSA for half a decade, a little bit less than a decade. And now I work at Cal State Long Beach as the Director of Marketing and Communications for Student Affairs. So I'm still in it, and I've gotten to know a lot of the student leaders from CSUN after I left, and I was very involved in the issues for a long time. I think that the most important thing that I got from being in AS was the people around me. I always felt that I was tried to surround myself with people who were far smarter than I was, and that really benefited me. And I think that if it weren't for this experience, I don't know where I would be necessarily, but I'm very glad to be where I am today. And I hope that you enjoy each other and recognize that there are always turbulent times and they're always different. And your voice and your presence is really what matters. So show up, be invested in all of the work that you want to do and what others want to do, and have your opinion and form them as a group, and you'll do just fine in life. So thanks for having me here, and I'm glad to be with you all, and I'll keep it short, and thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. And I'll be honest, I had to write my thoughts down because my brain is just everywhere. There's so much to reflect on and be grateful for. My name is Dion Joseph Turner, class of 2022, AS Vice President during 2020-2021. I am the CEO of a marketing and management company called Dime, where we rep some of the most influential Gen Z, Black, and Brown voices in entertainment. Right now, my biggest dream in life has always been to help other people's dreams come true, and AS taught me how to do that through advocacy. Serving as AS Vice President during the height of COVID-19 was one of the most challenging and rewarding experiences of my life. In a time of uncertainty, we learned the true meaning of what it meant to be transformative and resilient. We faced unprecedented obstacles, but we didn't just adapt, we grew. In the wake of George Floyd's murder, we established the Justice Scholarship, committing to equity and change. We engaged in deep conversations about renovating the USU, reimagining it as a space that truly serves every student. We also played a role in renaming the Oviatt Library, a step towards creating a more inclusive campus that reflects our community's values. And we accomplished so much more, proving that even in crisis, progress is possible. I also had the privilege of witnessing the transition from President Harrison to President Beck, two remarkable women whom I admire deeply. Their leadership taught me that resilience isn't just about enduring hardships. It's about leading with vision and heart, even when the path is unclear. To the new leadership here at CSUN AS, embrace the power of transformation and resilience, continue to innovate, to lead with empathy, and to build a community that rises higher than before. Our journey wasn't just about surviving a difficult moment. It was about setting the stage for a brighter future. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to meet you all.
Good morning. My name is Zeke Zeidler. My pronouns are he, elle, they. This is the 40th anniversary of my being AS President 8485. I'm a Los Angeles County Superior Court judge. I've served on the school board in Redondo Beach. Most of the things that I have today in terms of skills come from my period at CSUN and AS. Some of it came from before that. Jewish Youth Group, great training ground. And one of the things I learned, actually, I'm going to change what I was about to say. Someone spoke recently about telling our stories. And I've been talking about that a lot lately. I got an award last week from the American Bar Association, the Stonewall Award. And in that speech, I talked about one of the most banned books in the country right now, All Boys Aren't Blue, by George M. Johnson. And in it, he talks about the best way to confront oppression is to know our history. So in some ways today, hearing such a diverse history from all of us and telling our stories really is a way for you to understand the role that you have on a campus in this leadership position. Because as you've heard from so many of us, we took this position either to make change on campus. Bill Amata with the Los Angeles Collegiate Council, you have no idea, preserving student bus passes, that was gigantic back then. When I was AS president, we did a number of things. We hosted the Western States Lesbian and Gay Student Conference, and that formed the Western States Lesbian and Gay Student Organization that was around for many years. We divested the University Foundation from investments in South Africa. And it's interesting because whenever I talk about my period, I talk about the activism things, but we were also doing important things on campus, whether it was funding a new van for the disabled students, whether it was getting students involved in each of the colleges on campus, a student representative there. And as AS president, I served on the faculty senate, and when the staff union wanted to have a independent audit of asbestos in the library, the faculty senator they asked to bring the motion was the student AS president. So there were a lot of things that you're going to hear from us, but there's so much that's done in any year. I will say, President Cleary did not meet with me weekly. I think we only met monthly. I think I was a little more of a challenge. I was, and it doesn't seem like a big thing anymore, but 40 years ago, I was the first openly gay or lesbian AS president. Now, there was one before me who wasn't open, and I give him a lot of credit because no matter how out he wasn't, there are certain people who can't not be out. But it was a big deal back then. And when I was running for AS president, the morning of the election, I walked on campus and my campaign manager came running up to me and said, don't worry, we're taking care of it. I said, what are you talking about? And as we walked on campus, we walked up to the first of my 8 billboards, and 7 of my 8 billboards the night before the election had fag spray painted on them. And I credit that with winning that election. I told her, don't you dare paint over that. So I think sometimes taking yourself and using the things that come at you to empower yourself is really valuable. Right now, you are, as always, in the middle of a major, not just one, but 2 major things going on as campus leaders. I'm wearing my Resilient Scholars t-shirt of the foster kids on campus that is through EOP. And the challenges right now facing EOP and DEI and all of those things, you are student leaders in a national important period where you get to take the reins to be fighting for students. And We're also at a time where you have student protests over other issues and making sure you understand the full complexity of those issues, because everything is not as simple as it sometimes seems. So that was a whole lot. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your leadership. Awesome to see you. Very exciting at 40 years later. Thank you very much. And she never gives herself enough credit. And when she gets up here, she's not. But Susan Edinger was the first woman AS president, which is awesome.
Like this, it's really kind of pointless, right? So I'll do this. How about that? So first of all, I'm just so thrilled to see all of you. It is great. And to see President Beck. I always love to hear President Beck speak. It's always just so touching. So I was a couple years, and I was 81, 82, and I was a couple years after Bill Amata. So there was really nothing left for us to do because he did almost everything. But I will say that in my year, it was the first year of Ronald Reagan. For those of you who know anything about Ronald Reagan, shades of today a little bit, but right, yeah, I'm looking at my generation back here. Financial aid was the biggest issue. Washington wanted to cut all the grants, all the loans, all those things. So when we came in, we had to focus on financial aid. We had to make sure that whoever wanted to come to CSUN or college could. CSUN College isn't for everybody, but nobody should be denied the chance to go simply because of funding. That's just not acceptable in my book. So we did a lot of lobbying in Washington and Sacramento. It was an amazing accomplishment because the students from across the country gathered together, and we kept a lot of that financial aid. And I know that you're facing challenges that are similar now. So make sure that you remember you're not alone. You are united in spirit and in practicality with students all over the country to fight for our students everywhere. The other thing that we did in CSSA was collective bargaining. At that time, students did not have a seat at the table. And we advocated and we won a seat at the collective bargaining table for a student representative. And I was just so grateful that I was on the committee that chose that student and we trained her. It was just a really great accomplishment that I think is still happening today. And I would just say that the other lasting accomplishment from my administration was the accounting office. When I came in to office, the accounting office was controlled by the university. We had no control over AS funds, over the student funds. And we said students really need to do that. So the university president, and I did meet with Dr. Cleary every week, sorry, Zeke, but he accused me of blackmail because we were trying to get our accounting office, and in return, he wanted AS to fund a locker room for the football team, days when we had a football team. And I said, you know, he said, Susan, that sounds like blackmail. I said, I consider it negotiation. So I encourage you to, it's kind of a badge of honor I wear now. I thought I was going to get kicked out. You know, looking at Dr. Beck, I ran over to Dr. Cleary's office, said, they're going to kick me out. He said, no. It's just the sundial. Sorry. Who's here from the sundial? Sorry about that. See, everybody's been through it, right? I'm sure you guys have too. But we did get that, and it was important because you are a leadership organization. You need to have all the tools that go with that. So a lot of my colleagues have talked about their experiences, and I think they're great. I loved hearing all those stories, but I want to look forward and maybe offer you a few tips for you to consider. I'm not saying these are right or that they're right for you, but I hope that you'll consider them at least. Get as much experience as you can. This will serve you well when you get into business, whether it's your own, you work for a small business, a large corporation, you're a consultant. Get budgeting experience, get PR and marketing experience. You don't have to be experts in anything because you can hire people to help do that for you, but make sure that you understand what all of that means. So if you haven't gone to a finance committee meeting, go to a finance committee meeting. See how it all works, if that's okay with the finance director. I don't know who that. Thank you, sorry. But learn about that. Communication. I was, well, I've done a lot of writing in my career. I still do a lot of writing. And I have to say, sometimes it's appalling at the writing that I see coming from people, not just your generation, but older, my generation. And I'm old. I mean, chisels on the, the stone tablets kind of thing. But learn to communicate thoroughly and well. Increase your vocabulary. Don't just say, yeah, well, no. Learn how to speak, to communicate in writing and when you're speaking. You will be an instant leader in whatever organization that you get to, because you'll be able to communicate your ideas. You'll be able to elicit ideas from other people and solidify them. Really important. Advocate. We've talked a lot about advocacy today. I'm still advocating for a lot of things. I volunteer at one of the centers off campus. It's called ARCS. It's the Autonomy Research Center for STEAM and a public, PSA. But we have to advocate for funding from NASA, from government agencies. It's really tough these days, right? Find your passion. It could be animals, it could be the environment, it could be reproductive rights. Whatever your passion is, find it and always, always advocate for that. You're going to be a lot happier person knowing that you're going to make a difference. Find a mentor while you're here and be a mentor. There are so many people in this room. I mean, William Watkins, my God, Sir William, right? Dr. Sir William, right? Yeah, distinguished alumni, Sir William, yeah. He was an amazing mentor. In the span of 10 years, when I was president, we had the first Black, first woman, first Asian, first openly gay, probably a few other first presidents. And now it's routine, and that's wonderful. But that's because we had mentors. William was a mentor to me. I'm a mentor to others. So look around the room, see who you can mentor, and look here and see who can mentor you. When you get into the workforce, do the same thing. Finally, shameless plug for the Alumni Association, because I've got some other board members here. Alumni Association, free to join. You will all be members. I encourage you to join the chapters that you're interested in. They're based on interests or based on major, all sorts of things. And I especially encourage you to do that as soon as you graduate because of networking. There are a lot of people in those chapters who can help you with internships, job interviews, and all those connections. There's really nothing as important, I think, as networking. And I would just encourage you to love what you do, whatever path it is. I was a food science researcher, and then I went into writing, and then I got into space. You don't have to do a straight path, straight paths are boring. See, you throw your pen around. Think of it as a tree. You've got the main trunk, and you've got all these branches. Branch out and do whatever floats your boat at the moment. Thank you.
I'm not going to say much because you guys know KNO me already. But going off, this is a club that I am so honored to be a part of. And Katie, welcome. We only get one member a year, but this club here most of them are my genuine friends. We see each other, we recognize each other because we have this in common. Serving the university in this way, it is unique, and it is a unique club that you can be a part of, that you are a leader on this campus. We are, as you guys well know, we're in very uncertain times, but we have great leadership. I'm often asked, I'm on campus so much, I'm often asked, what department do I work in? Or what area do I work in? I don't work here. I kind of feel like I do. My wife tells me, how come you're always at CSUN? But I don't work here. And I'm glad I don't work here, because I am involved in so many things that I get a very unique perspective of CSUN. And if I worked here, I couldn't speak the truth to power that I do, because there might be consequences. There might be somebody going, hey, you shouldn't have said that. Hey, you're in trouble now. Well, guess what? I can say whatever I want because I'm a volunteer. And she's a testament. I sat on President Beck's search and screen committee. I was appointed by Chancellor White, one of the last things he did. And hearing her truth and understanding where she was coming from, she was the perfect fit for this campus. And she's, you know, she wears her Converse, but she is true to her word. And that's very important in the times that we're going through, because she will fight for us. And that is, to me, one of the things that, man, I know we're in good hands. Alongside of her, a guy who can kind of say, hey, watch out, there's a rock over there. Or wait, you may not want to go in that building. Or because he's been there. You know, the other day, we're at a basketball game, which I see your president at a lot, Miss Providence High School over there. But they gave him an award for 50 years. And I said, dude, when did they start counting? Like when you were 15? But William has been here that long. I got on this campus in 1974. Happened to come on a program where I was a senior in high school. And he was just finished his student body president year. And that means I've probably known him those 50 years because he's been here that long, and he knows, and I've sat with committees with him and we've shared stories, but those are people that we need at this campus. Now we're going through a huge transition. We're losing a lot of brain power, right? Just like the whole transition of wealth, there's people that have been here a long time that know this, that we just lost Deborah Hammond. And I say lose, I mean, they retired. They're not here every day. And we're losing, and William, I don't know how much longer he's gonna have. I know his wife wants him home. Exactly. But this whole transition of the people with experience who know this campus, nooks and crannies everywhere, are going to be transitioning out through retirement or otherwise. And God, I'm hoping to start like a consulting group, right, of all of us who are going to be out, but we can come back and tell you where all the nooks and crannies are and what's going on. And ultimately, that's the service that once you come on this campus, you get this passion for this service. I've been very fortunate to be alumni past president, to sit on the TUC board, to sit on, if I can say it, the diversity commission. I can't say DEI anymore, but to sit on this commission and to do the things that to me have a lot of meaning and results on this campus. And I would encourage you guys, because I said it one time in a thing and at a graduation, but ultimately you're always a matador. And don't ever forget that, because the formative years that you have here will definitely, as you've heard from my colleagues, is that they will have an effect on just about the rest of your life. My wardrobe is 90% red and black because that's the way I want it. I love this place. I will work hard for it. If President Beck calls me and says I need something done, and it's very hard to say no to her, but still the reality is, you're coming back. You're coming back to do something just the way you're serving right now. And don't lose that passion, because that's the passion that with what you're serving now, we're going to need later on, for sure. All right. Thank you guys for having this. We love it. We love to come back, and we love to tell stories, and I'm sure we'll talk to you guys more individually later on. But thank you so much.
Good morning, Senate. Good morning. Let's go. Let's get some energy. There we go. There we go. So my name is Joaquin Macias. I was the AS president 98, 99. I was the chair of the USU Board of Directors the year previous to that. I worked in housing as a resident advisor. I was a hall coordinator, all of which was for the goal of having priority registration. There you go. When I came to CSUN, there were major budget cuts by the governor at the time. We had the earthquake. Classes were at a premium, and it took us. I was here from 92 to 99. You can do the math. And but I had a good time. I learned a lot. I made the most of my time here, and I think that's what I want to impart on you is that while you're here doing this, and it may seem mundane, make sure that you take advantage of the opportunities before you and the resources that are afforded to you. And those resources aren't just monetary, they're also the people that you see here in the audience, not just the former presidents, vice presidents, Senate members, but the faculty, staff, administration. You are able to connect with these folks in a way that a lot of the student body is not. You have access to these folks in a lot of the way the rest of the student body is not. So that's a privilege that you should really take advantage of. As was mentioned, we enjoy coming back and kind of encouraging you all to do this year after year. And we've seen enough people sitting here that eventually are sitting here that we had the honor of trying to, rile you up and get you guys to get into some of that good trouble, right? You have an opportunity now in the current political climate to really take a stand and to allow your voices and the students' voices to be heard. And so I'd encourage you, I know it's the end, almost, the semester just started, but it'll be over before you know it. Some of you all will be graduating, but plant those seeds for those trees that you won't have the benefit of sitting under that shade, right? That's what you're here for. You have a short amount of time to do things, and it may not always be visible, but it'll impact the next people that come in. So have that in mind. What are those seeds that you want to plant for the future generations that come after you? What is your legacy going to be? So, we're all overly involved. If you're in this position, you're probably overly involved. You see, I have all these tags on me. These are current tags. I'm on the USU Board of Directors as the alumni rep. I'm on the Alumni Association Board of Directors. I chair a committee there. And that's your life. That's the path that's before you. If you're involved here, I'm sure you're involved in other aspects, if not of the university, in your communities. And I would just encourage you to embrace that. Be intentional about the things you want to do and what you want to learn, and to share that with the people around you so that you're encouraged and you can make sure that there's people that fill in that gap once you've left. So look forward to being with you all. I hope that this is not the last time that I see you all, that you too come back to the university and give back. But just an honor to be here today. It's an honor to be with you all. And I really want to encourage you guys to make the most out of all of your opportunities here at CSUN. So there you go. Give a shameless plug. Shameless plug. The Alumni Association and the USU Board of Directors on April 23rd will have a mixer. You all are invited, and our chapter chairs from our alumni chapters will be there. So we had something similar last year, and I hope to see you all there. If you haven't received that invite, you will have that invite. So.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I was president 2019, 2020. My name is Diana Vicente, and I totally forgot that I graduated sitting here because I was like, oh, all of our past presidents are speaking. I'm still here. I'm not. That was 5 years ago. But being here just brings you right back. It was an honor to be in front of you all every single year. I was president when COVID-19 hit our campus. I was actually at the Capitol when we got the call from Dr. Watkins that our university was going to be shutting down. It's been a very, very long road, but I'll try to keep it as short as I can. And reiterate some of the things that are being said, that we are in some of the most difficult times, and that we need you all now more than ever. CSUN was the only university who gave me an opportunity when I was going into college. Even though I had lived here for 4 years, I was an immigrant in this country. And even saying that out loud still is a shock to this day. I now have my residency. I work for City Hall for a council member, Eunices Hernandez, and I still to this day cannot vote for my own boss, but I am in that space and I am representing the voices of many, and I take that very, very seriously. But all of that started in this room right here. CSUN was the only one that gave me that opportunity. And I never looked back. I came here to serve as AS president because I met the current president at the time when I was a freshman, Sevag, and he told me that you get your tuition paid. And I was like, great, sign me up. I'll do it right now. Because my dad was, the finance office asking for a discount and paying in cash. And I couldn't keep on watching that. So I signed up for anything and everything that could give me an opportunity to keep on studying. Once I got to serve as president and my tuition was paid for, I handed that check to my dad and I said, I got it from here. I wanted to pursue my master's, but same situation. I wasn't going to get any FAFSA. I wasn't going to get much financial aid. So I ran for CSSA chair. And I won and I served as CSSA chair 2020, 2021. And I was gonna go the full road to CSSA president, but life got in the way. But instead I came here and I got a job on campus as an admin coordinator for the CSUN marketing office, just finding any way that I could to keep on paying my tuition and to keep that opportunity alive for myself. But along that journey, I met every single mentor that sits behind me. And that to this day, I quote, to this day, I look back at the lessons that they provided me with. And to this day, I apply all of those lessons in my day-to-day work. Like I mentioned, I work for City Hall now. I work for City Council, and I can't express enough how much we need you all today. We are in a critical time. It is important that you are involved. It is important that you know what's going on. My boss is one of few this year, but the only one last year who voted no on the mayor's budget. That is not equitable and it does not represent our community today. And that vote is coming up again in April. If you don't know about the city council budget, please look it up. We need all of your voices there. We need you to advocate for your community. And you're already starting. You're already in the most important position to me that you'll have in your life. Make of it what you want. Get involved. My senators, if you're not having coffees with the people who you represent, you're not doing your job all the way correctly, get involved, host town house, go out there, speak into the classrooms. And my president, vice president, please take care of yourself because it's a heavy load, but this is just the beginning. Get ready for it. Thank you all so much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Phelps. I was the AS Vice President in 99, 2000. What does that mean? It means I did all of the work and didn't get any of the credit for it. No, but seriously, during our time, we worked on several issues that were really important to the future of the university. I sat on the site committee with actually Deborah Hammond, who, as everybody knows, just recently, she says, got promoted. And we cited where the rec center was going to be today. I worked on establishing the Associated Students Academically Related Activities Fund, which I think it's called STAR now or something to that effect, which funds graduate projects for graduate students that can't get funding for their projects otherwise. That was a big deal for us. There were a lot of big issues that happened during the time when I wasn't vice president. We had Prop, was it 206, 209, 208? It was a very controversial proposition, and that controversy is playing out in today's political world, but it stripped a lot of rights and funding and programs for individuals who are disadvantaged. And we had a lot of debates on campus, and we had David Duke come to campus. It was very controversial. We had a huge debate about it. There was a lot of protests, but those protests were really important to what we're here to do, what all of you are here to do as students. You're all sitting here because you're advocates. That's very clear. But to be introspective for a moment, you know, a lot of the time that I spent on this table, at this table, I spent trying to be right about things. I had a belief that, you know, it was, you know, clear as day for me. Things were right and things were wrong. And it's really not about being right. It's about doing the right thing. And what does that mean? It means that you're listening to each other, that you're spending more time learning from others and listening and picking up those lessons and experiences from them than trying to impart yourself. That was a big lesson that I learned, and I'm still learning to this day. It also means knowing that today, while you may disagree with somebody on one issue, tomorrow you're going to have to work with them on another. And whether you're running against somebody in one election, you're going to be standing with them in the next. You know, Joaquin Macias, I came in after him when he was president. We weren't friends in college. We became friends after college. And that was because we had shared experiences. We came back when we were a little older and we said, hey, you know, we both went to college here. We went through similar experiences. He had a very different experience in college than I did, but we found those bridges and now we're very close friends. And what you're doing here is going to translate to what you do moving forward. I'm on the Alumni Association board. I'm a leader in the business community, and I'm very fortunate and humbled to serve as a planning commissioner for the city of Los Angeles. And I wouldn't have been able to do any of those things if I hadn't gotten involved in Associated Students. So what all of you are doing today is so important, but just remember, it's better to do the right thing than to be right. And that is a lesson that I hope to impart upon you today. Listen to each other, surround yourself. You're already surrounding yourself with people that are as smart or smarter than yourselves. That's how you learn. That's how we all learn. Hopefully you will continue your involvement with the university. Everybody that's sitting behind me here, they understand the importance of what the university does in the community, not just graduating students, but building leaders. And they're continuing to lead today. And it's an honor to be a part of this group. And I also want to say a plug for Vice President Watkins, who all of you should be very grateful to have here. He was, as he is now, you know, a mentor to a lot of people. And he unexpectedly mentored me when I was not doing well in school and I was spending a little too much time in AS. And I had to take, you know, a time out to focus on my studies. And he kind of gave me that time out and I didn't want it, but it was one of the biggest lessons that I had about being a balanced student leader. You're here as students first, and Associated Students is as much as it's experiential, it's also extracurricular. So don't forget, we're all students, and it's important to strike that balance. And that was an important lesson I had as well. So thank you for your service. Thank you, President, for what you do, for serving on the Alumni Association board as well. And I really look forward to getting to know all of you later. And thank you.
Oh, hello. Good to see you all. First of all, my name is Jonathan Hay. I served in 2021, 2022. So some of you may have actually been here when I was serving. I had the opportunity to serve post-pandemic. So we were like in charge of bringing people back on campus, trying to see how we're gonna just the masks, what programs are we gonna be back, all those things. And but that was definitely a ride. A lot of highs, a lot of lows, and I think that's definitely a part of what you are signed up for and what you're doing. First of all, I want to also recognize the great people that are behind me, the people who are still working here. There's so many faces that I have gratitude towards, and so many people that I owe a lot to be standing here right now. So I want to thank you all right away. Couple of things that we had the opportunity to do. As I mentioned, we were in charge of bringing people back on campus. So a lot of the things was focused on starting campuses. We focused a lot on student parents. That's one of the biggest things we focused on. We got an angry email during our pumpkin patch about how we didn't have enough pumpkins and that we were not being inclusive for our student parents. And you know, she was right. We sat down, we tabled at the University Village Apartments, and we were able to come through with a big program, which was super awesome, and create resources for them as well. We also created the chair of communications position, which I believe no longer exists. So that was pretty quick, but yeah, it got combined, I heard. So that's pretty awesome. Just a couple of things that I want to share that I think is important. I think a lot of the things that were mentioned here are all important, but two things I want to touch on. Number one, I think is the importance of recognizing the role you have. Obviously, you know, as we mentioned like 7,000 times today, you all are in a very unique position. And, you know, it takes each of you to recognize who you are, the role that you're given, elected by the students, to be able to represent them. And to recognize that you also have a role in mentoring others. I think, you know, it says, I think the saying goes, each one teach one. And I think it's important to recognize, to help those who are below you, those who are struggling, to bring them up and pull you up. For me, that was someone sitting behind here, actually, Diana Vicente, who spoke. She was someone for me who brought me up into the role, and without her, I would not be here right now for sure. And so recognizing that and being a mentor onto others is really important as you go through your role and as this is your end. You know, look to someone to hopefully bring up in whatever way that is. The second thing I want to mention is it's okay to make mistakes. You know, we talk about it a lot, how like, you know, it's a lot of imposter syndrome. You know, you really feel like you gotta be X, you gotta be Y. You're a student representative, you're the president, you're the vice president, you're the chair of finance, whatever it is. And you have this thing of, you gotta be like this type of person because this is your title and this is your role. And while there is, you know, something that there is something to say to that, I think it's also important to recognize that it's okay to make mistakes. I have a crazy story that honestly I probably would not have been okay saying 2 years ago, but I've definitely come to grips with it now. When I was serving as a senator, this was during COVID. So this was when actually Dion was vice president, and we had a meeting, and we were voting on something. Yeah, you know where this is going. We were voting on something, and this is all on Zoom. And I still remember what we were voting on. Whatever, that's not important. We were voting on something, okay? And basically, I was, you know, opposed to this. I just didn't think it made sense. Whatever it was, I didn't think it was a viable way of using student dollars. And so I voiced my opposition, and whatever. So we went out for vote. The people who said yes, it was like, I think it was like 7. The people who voted no, it was, I believe, myself and maybe another person. If not, it was just myself. So I was the only no. And then about like 6 others abstained. And so I didn't realize I still had my mic on. And so and I remember I was talking to my sister was right there, and I was at home at this point. And while my mic was loud and the vote had just passed, I had said, "What a bunch of morons." Whoa. The next thing I heard was then the president going, "Senator Hay, your mic is still on." My heart sank. Wow, that was like I was on the verge of tears. Bad situation. And number one, honestly, and I still hold to this, don't abstain. That's like honestly a big thing. If you're here to vote, you're elected by students to vote. unless you actually need to abstain because there's a conflict of interest or whatever it may be, please vote. I do believe abstaining is really just like not a good thing that we really shouldn't be using very much, if not at all. But number two, recognize, number one, take ownership. If you make a mistake, that is fine. Take ownership. I immediately after that happened, I went to the group me and I texted every single senator individually apologizing. And I took ownership. And I said, my bad, that was like inappropriate. Obviously I let my emotions get the best of me, whatever it was. And then number two is recognize that it's okay, take ownership and move on. And that was when I was a senator. I didn't know if I was going to be president at that point. I thought maybe I just blew my chances after that, but I didn't, and I'm standing here today. So to my point with that is, number one, it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be sure what you're supposed to be doing. It's okay that like, oh, I'm nervous. I don't think I should be. Those feelings are so valid and it's okay. But recognize you were chosen to be here for a reason. And even if you ran unopposed, even if you got appointed, you are still here for a reason. So take that seriously, lead with grace, recognize that what you do is going to go beyond this room, and the people you meet and the interactions you have, the relationships you make are going to be beyond this year as well. So keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate your hard work, and I hope to meet you all later on. I came a little bit late, my bad, but I appreciate you all, and very nice to meet you.
Sorry, give me 1 second to open up my notes app real quick and just not read from it at all. Thank you. Good morning, California State University, Northridge. It is extremely splendid to be back here, to see all of you, to see everyone back here. I had an incredible experience being the student body president. Everything I did before that was an incredible experience. I'm going to try to keep it short. I'm going to try to keep it to like under 45 minutes. So let me just, I wrote a few things down that I'm not going to read, but people ask me how often I do speeches, and as the weekend sometimes says, she asked me if I do this every day. I say often. But just to recount a few of my experiences as the student body president, I don't think I know most of you at this point, which is unfortunate. Earlier this summer, I was actually recounting with a friend that we were at graduation, and we come back year after year, and we're going to know less and less people, and I think now I only know like a handful of you or 2 or 3 of you, and there's something kind of sad about that, but also that's a me problem, so whatever. So I think one of my top 5 flaws is, I really struggle moving on. Actually, I'd probably say that's my number 1 flaw because I have no other flaws, but it's so hard to move on from this experience because this is the best. This is going to gear you up for, as everyone said, for every job you have after this, every experience you have after this. It's all going to be molded, shaped, sculpted by what you're doing right here and right now. I don't believe Dean Yan Searcy is here. I don't know if you've heard this spiel that he gives, but he says something about, and apologies to any rocket scientists in the room, but he says rocket science is actually pretty easy. You just got to know what to do. If you know what to do, rocket science is easy. What's hard is people science, because people aren't rational actors. There's no accounting with how someone's going to react to something or what's going to happen. And everything I think that you do here is harder than rocket science, because this is a game all about cooperation, about how to diplomacy, leadership, all these skills that have a combination of rational, irrational factors. There's no math formula you can plug in to know exactly what to do when you're talking to people. So this is a real skill that's going to be applied to whatever job you have after this, whether it's rocket science or anything else. Is anyone here going into rocket science? Okay, that's what I thought. But just to tell you a few things that I did during my time as student body president, I had a fantastic mentor, Jonathan Hay, and I learned a lot from him, and I shaped and modeled after him for a very good chunk of my year. And then I had a lot of great senators. Some of you may know one of them is your president here today, Senator Katie Karoum. And some of the things that other people mention here as well, such as attending finance meetings. Sometimes I try to go to a finance meeting just to check in on the meeting, and I'd see Katie was already sitting there. And I'm like, Katie, you're not on finance. What are you doing here? She's like, just vibing, I guess. But yeah, and then sometimes, I'd have a task I wanted to do. One of the big things we did that year was we got a lot of complaints with food, and I believe it used to be called Geronimo's, but I think by that point it was already Gmo's. And so we went to Gmo's and we just got a lot of complaints, and Senator Karoum joined me as well in that endeavor. And we got in just a few weeks' time, I think the entire menu of Gmo's was revamped. So we're very proud of that. Another big one that I want to say Senator Karoum helped me with was towards the end of the year. This was a bit of a controversial one, but I really wanted to do something with the budget. I thought we should reinvest in AS and do something with the budget. And this was considered quite a controversial move at the time. We got a little bit of flack for it, but if anyone here is still upset about that, Senator Karoum is actually the one who did that, not me. So once again, but if you're happy about that, I did that. But yeah, so basically, and I'll never forget this, but we decided to put money back into AS Productions, Outdoor Adventures. We put a little bit more sports clubs. We wanted to put some more money back into AS, and this was one of the most controversial votes of the year. And I'll never forget this, but I have the amazing honor and privilege of hosting the Distinguished Alumni Awards for CSUN for the past 2 years. Hopefully that trend continues. I would love to keep doing it. I wonder if there's anyone in this room who could help with that. I don't know, but yeah. So this past year at the Distinguished Alumni Awards, afterwards, someone came up to me and he said, "Hey, you did a great job hosting." I'm like, "Thank you so much." And then I saw his polo shirt, and 10 seconds ago I said, "I'll never forget this story." I'm already forgetting a lot of the details, but on his polo, I believe it said either archery. I believe it said archery, I think. I'm trying to remember. On his polo, it said archery. And he came up to me and I just started talking. I got into archery that summer. So I was like, "Oh yeah, archery's so cool, this, that." I'm like, "Oh, you do archery?" And then he's telling me, he's like, "Yep, our club went from just 5 members to now we're like competing at all these big competitions and there's 20 or 30 of us." And I'm like, "Wow, that's huge now. That's awesome." And he's like, "Yeah, and it's all thanks to you." And I'm like, "What do you mean by that?" And then he's like, "Well, you were the student body president a year ago, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir." And he says, "Well, I heard you're the one who got us more funding, and that's what allowed our club to really grow and flourish." And that sounds like a totally made up story, because how often does someone just randomly come up to you and like randomly know about something that you did, like some really obscure thing that you did? But that is true, and I'm really glad about that interaction, and forgot all the details right after I said I'll never forget. But yeah, that was an incredible experience. And the year was just chocked full of stories, good and bad, moments like that, and stuff like that still happens afterwards. So I just want to leave you guys with a few key takeaways, because AS is something you'll never forget. And so, as Dr. Dre once said, "I can't get her out of my mind. I think about the girl all the time." And in this case, the girl is Associated Students. But just a few takeaways. First, in Associated Students, or any workplace really, communication, unlike a marriage, should be open. Second, in AS, never get married to an idea. Outside of AS, never get married at all. But in AS, never get married to an idea, because you might think something's a really good idea, and 2 minutes later, after talking about it with someone, and I think it's always a benefit to run an idea by people, always talk about it with someone, and you might realize, wow, that was a dumb idea. There's a lot of ideas that I had that I found out were really silly. I proposed a AS car repair service. I'm going to be honest, I still think that one's pretty cool, but I'll leave it up to you guys. But, after talking about it for a little bit, I realized that was super silly. Never mind, I still think it's cool. But there are other ideas I had. When we went to CSSA, I thought there's a spirit competition at CSSA. I believe you all have that coming up next month. I realized that, I thought that doing a musical number would be a good idea for the spirit competition. My chief of staff highly advocated I do not do that. And sometimes you just got to trust your gut. And my gut told me like, no, this will be fun. And I did that and it was awful. And but I must say, I'm glad that I did do it. Sometimes my chief of staff still expresses disappointment in me. We're still good friends. And he says, that was the dumbest thing you've ever did. I've never hated you more than I did in that moment. And I say, I'm sorry to hear about that, but sometimes you got to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. Sometimes you got to trust your gut, and sometimes your gut's going to be wrong. Third, I want to say, learn when to take risks and when to say no. So that kind of correlates with what I just said. Sometimes what you do is going to be a risk. Sometimes if someone tells you, hey, don't do that, sometimes you got to say no. And sometimes you're going to pay the price for it. Sometimes it's going to suck because you really trusted your gut and it didn't work out. But intuition is a thing. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But once again, it's a team effort if you're going to do something like that. I think with that, I'm going to wrap up. As Daryl Halt and John Oates once said, you're out of touch, I'm out of time. But that was a rough one. But I'd like to say thank you to everyone. This is a wonderful tradition. Thank you so much to Senator Karoum. I just want to share one more takeaway. Senator Karoum tells me that oftentimes she credits me and talks about me and says that I'm an inspiration for her. I'd like to tell her, please stop that. Because I don't know how it's going. So yeah, and this is probably not doing you any favors either. But yeah, so thank you all very much. If you have any questions, I'm not sure if you would, but if you have any questions, I'll be around. Senator Karoum is putting in the work that you don't always see the work that a president does, but it's an insurmountable amount of work you do on a daily basis. Some things are tangible, some things aren't. But once again, this is a person trying to master the art of people science, and you all are disciples of that art and science as well. So please carry everything you learn here today and throughout the entire year with you moving forward. Thank you very much.
I have no words. Is there anyone else? I don't think so. Shefali, come on. Okay, so I'll say this really quick before she says it, because I know you all already know this. Shefali was not an AS president here, but she was an AS president somewhere else, so she deserves her time on President's Day. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Katie did not tell me I was speaking today. So I've had too much coffee, not enough food. I have ADHD and I'm sleep deprived, so all bets are off. I was a senator for College of the Arts at Cal State Long Beach in 05-06 and ASI president in 06-07. So it's been 20 years since I started my Associated Students journey, which I feel like is ongoing. And I have to say, I know intellectually that I'm getting older and that I'm getting farther and farther away from like the ages of like the average student or whatever. But when Katie Animon won their election, Katie was like, "Oh, you haven't met her. Let's have coffee together." So the three of us get together for coffee, and somehow it came up that I had been in AS. I think we were talking about getting parking, which is always really fun when you're a student. But Vice President Khan asked, what years were you in AS? And I said, oh, like 05-07. And then she said, do you know Zara? And I said, yeah. And she said, she's my stepmom. And I was like, oh, I'm old enough to be their mom. That like really hurt my feelings. But it was just such a cool, like full circle moment. And I will say I've had these incredible full circle moments throughout the years since my time in AS. And I will also say I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Drawing and Painting and a Master of Fine Arts in Public Art Practice. There's no way I would be standing here in front of you today if not for my Associated Students experience. It's just so special, and it's such a cool club. And despite the fact that I didn't do it here, I get to connect with people who did it throughout the CSU. I reached out to Chris when I got this job here, and he was like, you got to tell Dr. Watkins that you were an AS president, because so is he. And I've met, David and Joaquin, and I met Cheyenne as my was my first AS president here. I can't believe I'm on my third already, but that like connection point is just, it's just really special. And I would say, I don't really want to like talk your ear off because I totally could, but I was actually talking to Kevin about this earlier. People remember you. People remember the things that you say and the way that you behaved. And so if there is anything that I could sort of offer you, it's just to keep that in mind. And I was just actually saying, if you Google me now, you can actually find minutes from Associated Students in 2005. All of the stuff that you guys are doing, the fact that these are being streamed, all of the stuff is just out there in perpetuity. So just keep that in mind as you're engaging, but don't use that as a reason to stop yourself from standing up for what you believe in. I look back at my time in AS and I have to be careful what I'm about to say. I would just say, like, just make sure that you're always standing up for what you believe in, but treat people with kindness and with respect. Because when I say people remember you, I mean the administrators, the faculty, the staff that work here. 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, they remember you, good or bad, and that will impact you. But that doesn't mean that you don't stand up for what you believe in. So, you know, I'm proud of the things that I did back then. I look back also and think, oh, I could have done more. I think the other thing I will leave you with too is it took me probably another 10 years. There were some things going on. I was in grad school and I was working at Cal State Long Beach at the time. And without going into too much detail, with these two different things that were sort of happening, I'd had some interactions where it finally hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh, everybody's winging it all the time. And that's the thing that you have to know is like nobody has it figured out, not the people that have been here for 40 years, not your peers. Everybody's figuring it out as they go along. You do the best that you can with the information that you have and the resources that you have. And also I had another kind of situation a few years ago. Something was going on professionally and every ounce of imposter syndrome left my body that year. And that's not to say that I don't walk into a room and want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about or that I think that I own the place, but I no longer walk into rooms and believe that I don't belong there anymore. So just know you guys belong in every room that you're in. Do the best that you can. I'm here for you as a resource. If I didn't say, I'm the AVP for Government and Community Relations. So if you're looking to get involved, come talk to me. I love, love, love working with student leaders. I love having that connection to you. Thank you for all of the work that you guys are doing.
Nice. That's everyone. I'll say this really quick. Dr. Watkins had to step out. You all know who Dr. Watkins is. I don't need to explain his awesome glory, and you all have worked with him. So he had to step out, but he was an AS president as well. And obviously, I mean, again, I don't really need to say anything. You all know the long-lasting impact he's had on our campus, and he continues to do that. Thank you, everyone, for that. It's very nice to see everyone and to hear all of the amazing accomplishments you all have had, and I'm really looking forward to for all of us to connect during lunch following the Senate meeting. But I will say just a few final remarks. I'm gonna come up to the. I'm gonna come up there. Okay, the reason why I didn't want to come up here is because it's gonna be awkward, like back facing them. Who am I facing? I wish I could just stand up. Nah, that's fine. But I do just want to say a couple things. Being a woman in leadership is both a privilege and a challenge, one that requires resilience, confidence, and the willing to push past barriers. It means navigating spaces where your voice may not always be the loudest, but finding ways to make meaning to ensure that you're being heard. It means leading with strength while being expected to balance grace. It's about proving time and time again that leadership is not defined by sex, gender, or expression, but by vision, dedication, and the impact you make. And perhaps the most importantly, it's about paving the way for the next generation of women, like myself, Iman, and all the women that have come before us and that will come after us, to step up without hesitation, knowing they belong in every room where decisions are made. Today, we would like to honor and acknowledge a very special person who shaped the legacy of this organization and someone who happened to be the first woman in the AS president role, Susan Ettinger. Susan has been an inspiring role model and a cherished friend to many of us in this room. She remains a guiding light for future generations of presidents who choose to take on this meaningful sacrifice of leadership. Susan, thank you for your leadership, your courage, and the path you've carved for all of us. It is with great pride that we present the Susan Ettinger Women in Leadership Endowment in your honor. But you can say a few words if you want.
I have nothing else to say. Giving back is just so important. So I was able to retire in my, I know this is old to you guys, but in my early 50s. I know it's a long time for everybody, and I wanted to do something, so I decided to volunteer here at CSUN. And as I mentioned earlier, and Shelley Hadvina, I think everybody knows Shelley, right? Shelley called me every year for like 8 years. You ready to come on the alumni board? Not yet, Shelley. You ready to come now? Not yet, Shelley. But one year I said yes. And being on the alumni board of directors and being an officer on that has led to so many things. I've met so many wonderful people. And that also led to involvement in ARCS, which I mentioned earlier. Is Nick here? Nick Guetta, okay, he's one of our students. And I'm volunteering at this NASA-sponsored Center for Research about 40 hours a week. Through the alumni board, I'm on a committee to identify alumni authors from CSUN. We're creating a database. So if anybody knows anybody who's written a book, not academic book, but another kind of book, we're trying to promote our alumni and our CSUN officers, and we're working very, very hard on scholarships because we do know that it's a very trying time financially for so many of our students. So all I would say to all of you is retirement, yeah, it's a word, you know, stay active. Again, find your passion. My passion happens to be CSUN. I'm so fortunate to have so many friends here. And I look at, Carlos and I went to high school together. We were in the same class. That's how long I've known him. There he is. Yeah. Go Highlanders. Woohoo. And anybody else from Granada Hills High School? All right. Yeah. Okay. Bill Amata recruited me to run for Senate. He became an amazing mentor, taught me everything I know about networking, and he's become a cherished friend, as has Zeke and everybody else in this room. I'm on the board for the Alumni Association with David and Joaquin. And that's what it's all about. You know, like they say in the hokey pokey, that's what it's all about, right? Keep those relationships, keep those friendships. Like Shafali said, don't burn bridges because you may not know who's got to help you over that next step, right? So thank you for this. And a few years from now, I want to see other people committing and doing and all these things so that we can honor everybody in this room. Thank you.
Contributing towards an AS scholarship fund if we called it the Susan Ettinger Fund. So Jay and I will pledge $2,500.
this. I didn't take it seriously until I got a receipt at the end of the year saying, oh, there's no money in the supermanager endowment leadership fund. I didn't even know it existed. So thank you, AS. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Zeke. And, just thank you everyone again for being here and just everything you've contributed now and in the past and the future. So now we're going to go back to our normal Senate meeting. Sorry to bore you guys. But I will be temporarily adjourning this meeting to go into a special meeting agenda. So I'm going to call that special meeting. Nice. I will call that special meeting to order at 10:43 a.m. Attorney General Martinez, can I get a roll call, please?
Vice President Khan.
Here.
Senator Aronson.
Here.
Senator Basilio. Here. Senator Flores. Here. Senator Gavino.
Here.
Senator Geminiano Aragon. Oh. Senator Harris. Here. Senator Govinia. Here. Senator Miyoshi.
Here.
Senator Nunez. Here. Senator Ogun.
Here.
Senator Perez.
Here.
Senator Pulliam.
Here.
Senator Shirazadi.
Here.
Senator Toledo Carranza. Senator Tron. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now ask for a motion for the approval of today's special meeting agenda for February 17th, 2025. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Gavino.
I move to approve the special meeting agenda for February 17th, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Pulliam. Any discussion on the approval of today's special meeting agenda? Seeing none, we can take this to a vote. If there are no objections to the today's special meeting agenda, that will pass unanimously. Are there any objections? Seeing none, they will pass unanimously. We'll now move past special presentation into open forum. I'll allow for this open forum if our appointments, sorry to put you on the spot, but if anyone that we're appointing in this special meeting would like to come to the podium and introduce themselves, I will give that the opportunity. And just make sure to click the button and write your name.
There we go. Perfect. Hello, AS. My name is Cesar Rosales. Hopefully, if things go well, I will be joining you on your board this semester. I will say the CSUs are a really special place. I originally transferred here in 2021 from my community college up in the Antelope Valley. I was relatively aloof, like many students who commute and transfer. The perceptions that I have of the CSUs and of CSU Northridge is that of a place that doesn't really have a culture, that exists in its own vacuum to serve people who simply want to get a degree, to earn a career, to retire, and move on. I'm incredibly happy that I was proven so wrong. Especially at CSU Northridge, there is such a beautiful and unique culture of passionate individual people who want nothing but the best for what is a campus that has done nothing but promote social mobility and allowed for so many people of Los Angeles, California, and the world to reach their goals and push for their dreams. It is a truly special and unique place. If I am lucky enough to be appointed today as your Chief Justice, I promise to do as intended, to serve the student body, to serve associated students, and to do what is in the best interests, not only of the students, but of the General Valley as a whole. I've been so fortunate, even today, with all these former AS presidents and vice presidents, to be proven so incredibly wrong that CSU Northridge is a special place with its own culture. And hopefully, I'm very hopeful that I will be continually proven wrong as time goes on. Thank you.
Thank you, Cesar. Swarna, if you would like to introduce yourself, you can. If not, it's okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. Okay. Good. Okay. Okay, well, we're going to move past reports into new business. I'll now ask for a motion for the approval of the appointment for Cesar Rosales for Chief Justice. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Aronson.
I move to approve the appointment of Cesar Rosales for Chief Justice.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Basilio. Any discussion? Senator Geminiano Aragon.
Permission to be recognized.
Granted. Seeing no discussion, we'll take this to a vote. All in favor of approving Cesar Rosales for Chief Justice, please raise your hand. This passes unanimously. Congratulations, Cesar. We'll now move on to our next appointment, Senator for the graduates. I've never said it like that. Graduate Senator, my bad. For Swarna Nadipudi. Did I say that right? Nice. Okay. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Aronson.
I move to approve Swarna Nadipudi for graduate senator.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Perez. And Swarna, do you want to introduce yourself? You can go ahead. I will defer the time to you. You have to click the button.
So, good morning, everyone. To all the respected dignitaries standing here, I'm Swarna Nadipudi, representing the Engineering Management Graduate Program, also a mechanical engineer, aerospace quality professional, but more likely from the family of California State University, Northridge. So, as I stand here representing the position of the graduate senator, I would like to embark on the importance of the leadership and the welfare that we are creating for the students of CSUN. So we coming from diverse backgrounds with multiple experiences, I would like to cherish each one of you with my experiences that I come in with. A couple of things which I have is the instructional student assistant as a campus, the board member of ASEM. I would like to inculcate all my experiences under the leadership, the guidance of all the respected leaders here, and work with you to cherish, to embark, to represent together, and certainly succeed together. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Swarna. Is there any discussion on this motion? Okay, seeing none, we'll take this to a vote. All in favor of approving Swarna Nadipudi for graduate senator, please raise your hand. This passes unanimously. Congratulations, Swarna. Usually we'll do an oath of office. Dr. Watkins did have to step out, so it's essentially like a swearing in, so we'll do it at the next meeting. And you can go ahead and take your seat, actually. It's going to be right over here, next to Brianna. Great. Well, now, so now, Swarna, you can contribute. You will be called in the roll calls and all the things. Just if you want to contribute, just raise your hand at any time. We'll now move into a final roll call with Attorney General Martinez.
Vice President Khan. Here. Senator Aronson.
Here.
Senator Basilio. Here. Senator Flores. Here. Senator Gavino.
Here.
Senator Geminiano Aragon.
Here.
Senator Harris. Here. Senator Cavina. Here. Senator Miyoshi. Here. Senator Nunez. Here. Senator Olgan. Here. Senator Perez. Here. Senator Paliam. Here. Senator Nanapure.
Here.
Senator Shirazadi.
Here.
Senator Toledo Carranza, and Senator Chan. Thank you.
Thank you. I will adjourn the special meeting at 10:51 a.m. We'll now go back into the regular meeting agenda and go back to where we left off at open forum. Open forum is intended as an opportunity for any member of the public to address the Associated Students Senate regarding any issues affecting CSUN students. Speakers are allowed 3 minutes each to speak. Please sign in using the clipboard for minute recording purposes.
Good morning, everybody. My name is James Forster, and I serve as the AS Programs Manager. Just here to give you all an update on some events that are happening this week. So 2 events are going on this week. The first one is our annual farmers market. So that'll be on Tuesday out on Matador Square over on Lindley as well. That'll be from 10 to 2:30. So you can look forward to that. We'll have a live performer, a CSUN student who'll be performing, I think, from 11 to 12:30. So if you're interested in some live music, come on out then on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we're hosting our first ever paint and plant event hosted by our sustainability department. It's an opportunity to come by, pick up a pot that you can paint, and then you can plant a plant in the pot. A little bit of a tongue twister there. So that'll be happening from 10 to 2 over on OST Lawn, which is right next to the Sustainability Center and behind the USU area. So if any of you have any questions, just let me know, but I hope to see you all there. Thank you all.
Thank you, James. Is there anyone else here for open forum?
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to come and give you guys an update on the legislation that we will officially be advocating for at Chess. So I kind of wanted to give it all to you guys in one place so that you guys can come and talk to us and the Chess delegation about what you guys would like us to address, anything that you guys would like us to bring up in these meetings. So one of them, the first one is SB 98, Immigration Enforcement Notifications, which will ensure that student parents who's, that was another one, will have California notify students, staff, and parents when immigration officials are on campus. SB 271, students with dependent children, child care services, resources, and programs, ensuring that student parents who seek financial aid, child care, and basic needs are supported on campus, will receive information and support to access these resources. AB 313 is student financial aid application deadline extension, extending the deadline from March 3rd until March 3rd, 2025 for financial aid. That is for priority registration for financial aid. There is a bill proposal by CSAC that will strengthen data collection to allow aid impact analysis. Another bill proposal by CSAC to standardize the financial aid offer letters, because as a lot of you guys know, offer letters are very different when you compare it to other campuses. So CSAC would like it to be just one straightforward one. I believe this is AB 518, the CalFresh and FAFSA data sharing opt-in at the state level. This will allow students who qualify for FAFSA to permit their data to be shared to CalFresh so that they can get automatic notifications on whether this is a service that they are eligible for. A legislation proposal to increase access to campus housing for college students with experience in foster care and homelessness across the UC, CSUs, and community colleges. A legislation proposal to approve accuracy for cost attendance budgets for student success. It will include housing, transportation, food services, because a lot of you guys know that the cost of attendance kind of focuses on just tuition, but that's not the entirety of it. And I think that is, and then, the Padilla Basic Act, which will create a grant program that will be given to colleges to help address basic needs for their students. So these are the main legislation that we will be advocating for at Chess. So if you guys have any questions, want to learn more about it, or have anything that you would like us to bring up during these meetings, please let myself or Katie or Iman know. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Anyone else here for open forum? Okay, seeing none. We'll now move past unfinished business into new business. I think I said this last time, but I'm actually going to be keeping the structure like this. This seems to make more sense than doing new business after reports. But our first item of new business is to allocate $2,700 from unassigned contingency to Beta Alpha Psi for Candidates Integration Day, stands for CID. So now I think you all remember that when you make the motion to include the breakdown. So here's the breakdown for you. Is there any motions on the floor? Senator Harris.
I move to allocate $2,700 from unassigned contingency to Beta Alpha Psi for Candidates Integration Day, $1,500 for room rentals, supplies, and parking, $800 for guest speakers, $150 for reusable banner, $150 for usable tablecloth, $100 for traditional flyers.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Pulliam. Any discussion on this line item? Senator Perez?
Thank you. I know we moved reports, but since we are talking about financial allocations, can we get the updated
Yep.
account numbers from Leslie, please? I apologize, Chair Ponce.
Yes, so currently under STAR, there is $127,222 in unassigned contingency, which is where this is going to come out of. There is $669,912 in the philanthropy fund. There is $15,000, and in clubs and orgs travel and clubs and org unassigned, there is $25,000.
So what I'm hearing is approving this will make a big dent to our unassigned contingency. Senator Aronson.
So, in the first sentence of the supplemental funding request, it shows Beta Alpha Psi is seeking $2,980 in supplemental funding. Then that changes in the breakdown and the total to $2,700. Chair Ponce, if you could please provide some insight on why that was changed and if they will need to come back to seek further funding.
Chair Ponce.
Yes, so they already received funding in the annual budget. They got $1,500 for their CID event, and the max per BPN guidelines is that they can get $3,000 for a single day events. Hence, the committee decided to just give them the remainder of the $1,500.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll take this to a vote. All in favor of approving the allocation of $2,700 from unassigned contingency to Beta Alpha Psi, the breakdown being $1,500 for room rentals, supplies, and parking, $800 for guest speakers, $150 for reusable banners, $150 for reusable tablecloths, and $100 for traditional flyers. If you are in approval of this, please raise your hand. Okay, this is everyone approving? Okay, this passes unanimously. Just make sure to do it fast. Okay, we'll now move on to the next line item. To allocate $40,000 from unassigned contingency to Associated Students Productions for Big Show 2025. The breakdown is $28,000 for police services and $12,000 for ambulance services. Is there a motion on the floor? Senator Nunez.
I move to allocate $40,000 from unassigned contingency to Associated Students Productions for Big Show 2025, attachment number 2, $28,000 for police services and $12,000 for ambulance services.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Perez. Any discussion on this line item? Senator Perez.
Just for clarification, is this what goes into, I guess, paying for police services and ambulance services? Like, is this just to have people staffed, or is there anything additional with that? If you have that information in the request.
Tim?
Yeah, this is, sorry, too far away. This is for staffing to have ambulances there and the police services that are there to protect and make sure that nothing hopefully goes wrong in the space.
Thank you. And could we get that mic raised over there, please? Is there any further discussion? Senator Perez.
Okay, so we're looking at the AS production. Hello. And so for signature events, the current allocated is $433,500. What amount of that, do you know if what amount of that is currently being spent on Big Show for other purposes? Or have an estimate?
$210,000. $210,000.
So half of the budget is being spent on stuff that isn't for police or ambulance services originally, correct?
Yes, that's why the request is on our agenda.
Just clarifying.
Is there any further discussion? Okay. Okay. All right, we'll take this to a vote. All in favor of approving, approving $40,000 from unassigned contingency to Associated Students Productions for Big Show 2025, $28,000 for police services, and $12,000 for ambulance services, please raise your hand. This passes unanimously. Congratulations, Productions and James. And Big Show for having police and now ambulance. That was funny. Okay, we'll now move on to reports. I unfortunately had a long report, but I will, fortunately for you all, try to cut it down and talk fast. First thing, I was appointed by the CSSA president to serve on the Intersegmental Conference Work Group with SSCCC, which is the, I don't know what the SS stands for, but it's the California Community Colleges, and UCSA, which is the CSSA equivalent for the UCs. So I'll be there representing CSSA on that committee. We'll be having AI Jam. Iman and I will be emceeing AI Jam. Fun. So here are some dates for you to keep in mind if you want to participate and if you can spread the word. March 5th is the AI Jam kickoff. March 17th at 12 o'clock is the deadline to register for the competition. March 17th to the 14th is the participants developing their proposals. March 14th at 12 o'clock is the deadline to submit the proposal. Did I say March? That was supposed to be April. April 14th to 21st, the judges evaluate proposals. And on April 25th, the winners are announced at Digital Equity Day event. And something that we will also be needing is a judge to serve on the AI Jam judges panel from one of you all and cabinet. I'll send an email, but think about it. I don't remember what they said. It's not a big time commitment, but essentially it's like a week's worth of time that you'd be putting into it. Not a whole week. I'm saying like you'll be devoted to it just for that week. Yeah, we could count it towards your office hours. We'll send an email, but just keep that in mind. We do need one individual to serve as a judge. Thank you. And then some of us have been tabling for those cultural welcome weeks. I appreciate you all taking the time to do that, as always. The Native American tabling got postponed. I'm not sure to what date. If someone knows, they can say it when I ask for questions. That would be actually really helpful, but that did get postponed. So what else? Iman and I had the chance to meet with the provost and vice provost for our monthly meetings. I participated in a textbook access meeting with the they call it ASI Executive Director Miles Nevin, and the woman named Laura Knox, who works in higher education publishing, the ASI president at San Bernardino, our CSSA Vice President of System-Wide Affairs, and the AS President at Chico State, to have a meeting about equitable access programs, since we talk about it a lot here called CSUN Ready, but it actually is disseminating and has already been established at a bunch of other CSUs. So that was a conversation I was a part of. I had the chance to participate in the first Faculty Senate meeting of the year. The Faculty Senate did approve a resolution in support of undocumented students and immigrants, which I will share with you all sometime today or tomorrow. But Faculty Senate is always a great time. If you all ever have a chance and would like to attend as a public member, you can. It should give you a lot of inspiration on, things to advocate for. Senator Gavino and I had participated in a Mattercard meeting, since we will be serving on that committee. I had the chance to meet with the AI task force for the first time. They have 3 work groups established, and the committee is like 60, 70 people from every part of campus. Every college is represented. Every department is represented, essentially. There's 3 work groups that are going to be in the AI task force: the teaching and learning work group, research, and then administrations and operations. So everyone has been split into those work groups to, obviously AI is a huge topic, can't just be discussed in a general form. So I'll be leading the teaching and learning work group. And then all of the other work groups also have leaders, but I wanted to be an opportunist and I said, okay, I'll lead it. If anyone has questions, and I'll be able to give like in-depth reports about what we talk about, which is great. I participated in a Parents Scholars United meeting last week. I had my monthly meeting with Shafali. She's in the gallery. And I'm also participating, as I mentioned before, on the CSSA Student Trustee Search Committee. I think I've mentioned it before, but the student trustee serves on the CSU Board of Trustees. Big deal. So they have 2 student positions that serve 2-year terms. And I'm on the committee to appoint the next one. Or to assist in appointing the next one. Gavin Newsom appoints the next one. So we'll be having in-person interviews this week at the Chancellor's office on Friday. So I will be unavailable on Friday because I will be in interviews from 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. In Long Beach. And then we just had a CSSA virtual plenary this past Saturday. Kiri mentioned a bunch of the Senate bills and Assembly bills that we have either co-sponsored or we're supporting. We've approved 4 policies in board of directors, and it was kind of just announced that the CSSA elections has now been like publicized. So CSSA elections for all the executive positions. So that's CSSA president, CSSA chair, CSSA vice president of system-wide affairs, CSSA vice president of finance, CSSA vice president of legislative affairs. So that's not only restricted to people in CSSA currently. So if any of you are interested and I have another year here at CSUN, you can also apply and run in those elections. I will share more information when I receive it, but keep that in mind. If you're done with AS here, you can go and do CSSA. But the applications open on February 21st, which is this Friday, and they close on March 17th at 5 p.m., and the election date is April 13th. So if any of you are interested, keep those dates in mind. Last couple things. I will be leaving the lunch kind of part of today at around 12 o'clock to go briefly to Distinguished Alumni Awards Nominations Committee meeting. So I'll just be in that briefly. So I'll come back hopefully. And then I'll be having check-ins with cabinet members this week. So you won't see me this week, sorry, because I will be very busy with that. And then lastly, Kiri and Iman and Lobby Corps and everyone will be hosting some chess lobbying trainings this week. So if you're part of the chess delegation, be sure to attend one of those trainings if you are assigned to one. And yeah, that's it, everyone. Sorry, I tried to make that as fast as possible. I don't think I did. But thank you all for being here and have a great rest of your day, week. Shout out presidents and vice presidents. Hope you guys liked my report. Is there any questions? Senator Gavino.
Point of personal privilege.
Granted. Okay, seeing none, we'll now move on to the Vice President's report with Vice President Khan.
Good morning. Happy President's Day. I hope you all had a lovely weekend because it was Valentine's Day. My jokes are really good. You can laugh. It's okay. As Katie mentioned, I've been working with Chair of Legislative Affairs Saravia to prepare for chess, which is really exciting. And remember that these lobbying trainings are actually open to anyone. The delegates have been assigned, but if you're interested in like learning how to lobby or learning about this legislation, let one of us know and we can tell you when those dates are and you can 100% participate. So yeah, reach out if you have any questions in general about chess. And calling back to Cheyenne's little spiel earlier, Kiri does want to do a musical for the Spirit competition. So please talk to her about changing that because I haven't been successful yet. And don't mind me. She's in the back waving her hand saying no. But have her change it, please. Anyways, we met with Provost Kamaraju and Vice Provost Bora, and we discussed what's happening on the federal administration level and how her office she's the one sending out those informative emails with the resources on the situations that are pressing. And we shared what we heard and observed from students, and they were really receptive as per usual. But this is calling to you guys to really share with us what you're hearing and, you know, what you're even feeling, even if it's not from your constituents, if it's from you, like we need to hear it so we can move it up the chain. And it's honestly really helpful every single time. They're also on track to fully launch that caseload-based advisement that I talked about in a few reports ago, fall 2025. So that's really exciting, and I can't wait to see how that plays out. Katie mentioned AI Jam. The website is also live if you don't remember the date she listed. CSSA met on Friday in system-wide, where I serve as vice chair. We discussed, let me read the resolution because this is a good one. Resolution to establish a system-wide CSU Undocumented Student Advisory Council. So it's a framework for how we would support that advisory council. Highly recommend you read. These documents are public. If you just Google CSSA, go to, I think it's literally called Documents, you'll find it. And so Sac State, the president and one of the vice presidents worked on it, and our chair of legislature, Saravia, actually also worked on it. She's listed as an author, which is really cool. Definitely read it, give your comments, concerns, because there's still time to adjust before the next CSSA meeting where we will be voting on it. And then we also had a discussion item where we got a presentation from the Senior System-Wide Director in Academic and Staff Human Resources, Dr. Sarah E. Fried Gintes. And we got to talk to her about the OCC office, the Other Conduct of Concern complaints, which I know I was talking a lot about Title IX last semester. This kind of works alongside Title IX. They're not the same though, so I would also recommend, if you're interested, I have the presentation, I'll share it with you. Today is the USU Board of Directors meeting. Thank you, Joaquin, for shouting that out. They have open forum too, so definitely go if you have any concerns about the USU or you want to share something. And I do also want to say filing for the USU Board of Directors is now open if you're interested in that, but no, you're not interested in that because you love AS and you're going to stay in AS till the day you leave CSUN. Right. And okay, general reminders is that we receive the agenda 5 days in advance, 3 business days in advance. So please ask your questions, like the little niche questions beforehand, or do your research. We're always happy to talk about what's on the agenda. Also, we are in week 5. So if you haven't already talked to me about what your plans are for fulfilling your Senate duties, please talk to me. If you need my support, my door is not always physically open, but my phone inbox and my cell phone definitely do work. So I will definitely respond there if I'm in a meeting or something. And then the same reminder I gave last time, very similar. There's a lot of things that are going on right now, internal and external to AS. Please talk about what you're feeling, talk about what you're experiencing, use your community, lean on each other, seek advice, seek knowledge, seek resources, and definitely don't do it alone. We have so many great people in this room and actually currently in the gallery, great coincidence, who want to hear you and help you. So take advantage of your resources and lean on your community. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Is there any questions on the Vice President's report? Senator Domino.
Permission to be recognized.
Granted. Senator Perez.
Point of personal privilege.
Granted. Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to the Chief of Staff's report. Victoria is unfortunately not here, so Vice President Khan will be, he is double name tagged. Vice President Khan will be giving the Chief of Staff's report.
I'm going to channel her energy. Good morning. Good morning. It's a beautiful morning. That was good, right? Thank you. Okay, so her own report for this week is she held biweekly meetings and check-ins with key cabinet members, including the chair of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the attorney general, the chair of elections as well. These discussions focused on aligning goals, reviewing ongoing initiatives, and addressing any challenges that may come up. And she also hosted a mini Valentine's Arts and Craft event after the Senate meeting last week, which was really fun and engaging, and it was a great bonding activity. And she thanks everybody who participated in the event. For the chair of diversity, equity, and inclusion, this week, oh, wow, now I know why she struggles to read these reports. It's like listed. Okay, I'm gonna be good at this. Yeah. Oh, my screen, that's so sorry. They tabled and they set up some meetings with key stakeholders within the DEI community at CSUN. They met specifically with the USU D&I Rudy Granillo, so sorry, to discuss diversity and inclusion initiatives. they're working on, oh no, a short film will be screened for DEI month on Thursday with the director present. It's called Alitso. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And they're making a statement and scheduling DEI committee meetings. The statement is intended for clubs and organizations about what's going on with DEI currently. Our chair of legislative affairs, Saravia, she has a Lobby Corps meeting today, 2:30 to 3:30, and they'll be discussing how Lobby Corps Town Hall is going to play out, which is going to take place February 24th and is open to all CSUN students. So please advertise and let people know. She finalized the chess itinerary with Vice President Khan and scheduled meetings with all of the legislators for Advocacy Day, and there have been 6 confirmed meetings, so waiting on quite a few, but that happens. And she attended CSSA's February meeting where they discussed various legislation, which we had the privilege of hearing from her on firsthand. Our chair of personnel and communications, Uribe, she had interviews, so she sent out 3 interview requests and there have been 3 appointments. They had their committee table for Cultural Week, and they scheduled and conducted interviews and sent out the member of the month for January. And our chair of elections, Lazama, was in constant communication with Denise regarding elections, with marketing about elections, constantly replying to emails regarding elections. She really can't say much about her job. And the mandatory orientation is in progress, and she's working out logistics for election season. What a mystery. All right, thank you. That concludes her report.
Thank you. Is there any questions on the Chief of Staff's report? Senator Pulliam.
My personal privilege.
Granted. Okay, and then for all of our next reports, please, if you can, make it skippy because we got to be out of here soon. And we have a couple referrals that I need to read out. Chair of Finance, Ponce, your report.
Hey everyone, good morning. First off, I hope you all had a good weekend. I did already cover the updated account balances, but if any of you want me to repeat them, please let me know. So today in Finance Committee, we're going to be addressing a supplemental request from the Society of Automotive Engineers that has been tabled. They will be coming to present to the committee, so hopefully we can act on that request. And aside from that, we will be discussing updates to the annual budget. So some of the updates include food funding and just updated budget numbers for the various AS departments. And aside from that, we're going to discuss the Code of Finance further and discuss the various procedures behind it. And I've been working with our controller to condense the Code of Finance, so hopefully it'll be easier for students to interpret in the coming year. And aside from that, just been working also on notifying clubs and orgs about the hospitality policy. And lastly, just working on stars and supplemental requests.
Thank you, Chair Ponce. Any questions on the Chair of Finance report? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Attorney General's report with Attorney General Martinez.
Good morning, everyone. Happy President's Day. So I had a bit more written, but I will keep it nice and quick. So last week we had our first standing committee meetings. All were amazing. All chairs did amazing. Thank you all for that. I want to congratulate our vice chairs, Senator Basilio, Senator Shirazadi, and Senator Chan. Congratulations. Thank you. We'll be having a vice chair meeting to go over minutes and procedure this coming week. So that will be going on. Really quick, I know I sound like a broken record, but please dress code. Senate meetings should be in business casual attire. Let's uphold the Senate code and make sure we're giving Senate meetings our best. If you need any clothes, please utilize Maddie's Closet and feel free to reach out to me for any of those questions. Really quickly, I just want to thank everyone that spoke today. It was extremely motivating and inspiring hearing what everyone accomplished and paved the way for us now, reminding us of the power of our voices have to make real change on our campus and community. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney General Martinez. Any questions on the Attorney General's report? Seeing none, we'll move on to standing committee reports with External Affairs with Senator Gavino.
Good morning. I'll also keep it brief. We had our first meeting last Wednesday. As Attorney General Martinez noted, we appointed Senator Shirazadi as our vice chair, so congratulations to him. We have 2 legislative referrals in committee. I'll focus on the supporting undocumented students one. Currently, all committee members and I are speaking with our constituents and student organizations to see what they would want out of a resolution or demands or action. And then outside of external, I attended the first meeting of the Institutional AI Task Force that President Karim mentioned. I'm in the research working group, so if you have any opinions on that, feel free to reach out. And then I also attended the Matacard meeting. That's all I have for this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Seeing none, we'll go into the internal affairs report with Senator Covinia.
Hello, everyone. We had our first meeting last week. Congratulations again, Senator Basilio, Vice Chair. I'm really looking forward. It was a pleasure to meet you all. We worked on 2 legislative referrals, and I think it's very important to highlight the Chief Justice position and the duties thereof. We're currently, this legislative referral was assigned to Senator Basilio, and we'll be researching, getting additional information on that. Looking forward to tomorrow's meeting. We have 8 new legislative referrals that we're going to be working on.
Yeah, and you're about to get some more today. Shout out to your vice chair. Any questions on the internal affairs report? Seeing none, we'll move on to the university affairs report with Senator Aronson.
Hi, everyone. I'll try to keep it brief. I do just want to mention, thank you for all of the past AS presidents and vice presidents for coming here today. I think we see a lot of the change that we can make as senators, but I think it's important to sort of look at the legacy that we're trying to hold up, the things that past AS boards and presidents have done. And I think it can be really moving to sort of see the path that we're on, and hopefully we can continue to be those leaders for future generations of AS. So thank you for coming. For my committee in specific, as Senator Martinez said, I want to congratulate my vice chair, Senator Tran, for the 2nd semester in a row, 2-timer, just like me. And I want to thank our other committee members, Senator Olgan and Senator Pulliam had to step out. But we are small, but we're mighty. I think right now we are looking at 4 legislative referrals for our next meeting. We'll see if President Karim assigns any more to us. But we are happy to do the work for our campus. And yeah, thank you guys so much for having me, and I hope everybody had a great weekend and a great Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on the university affairs report? Senator Perez.
Permission to be recognized.
Granted. Senator Tleta Carranza.
Permission to be recognized.
Granted. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the interim AS Executive Director's report with Tim Szypanski.
Good morning again, everybody. CSUN has put out a informational page and a resource hub for anything that has to do with immigration. You would have received an email last week from our HR manager. We will be doing a little bit more extensive training in all of our areas to make sure that any of our frontline staff are comfortable, and if they are not, who they will contact and get a hold of in that space. So you may see some of us moving through your areas just to do some first looking and then figuring out what the training is going to be. And that should be done by the end of this week. So you may see some of us moving around. So if you have any more questions, the campus has put out the resource page. I would take a look at that and just kind of get yourself familiarized just in case anything does come with immigration onto our campus. All right, and that'll be all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions on the interim AS Executive Director's report? Seeing none, we'll move past the University Advisor's report into the Faculty Advisor's report with Dr. Veda Ward.
Good morning, everyone. I've been told to keep it short, so I'm keeping it short. Thanks to all of the past presidents and vice presidents for coming. Important continuity for faculty as well. So I hope you'll take some time to visit a class if you have not in the past. We'd love to have you. And then for you all, importantly, to share with your peers that at this point in the semester, what we're all looking for is keep doing what you're doing. Stay positive and keep getting your work done. That's it for me.
Thank you, Dr. Ward. Nice. Applause necessary, always. Any questions on the Faculty Advisor's report? Okay, seeing none. We'll move past information and discussion items into legislative referrals. I will zoom past these because we have to leave this room. Okay, first legislative referral that I have is submitted by Senator Harris, titled Vending Machines in Maple Hall. The request is a vending machine in Maple Hall with Celsius and snacks. That was it. Suggested to University Affairs, and I will send it to University Affairs. Next one is from Senator Basilio, titled Add to Chair of Elections. The request is add to Chair of Elections so that they must, or at least encouraged to, one, hold an event/forum so that CSUN students are able to meet the incoming administration. That would be held beginning of October of every academic year. Number two, hold another event/meeting that describes the positions that people are able to run for, which would allow students more time to prepare/decide if they would like to run for office for the following academic year. Elected positions, president, vice president, and senate. This event/meeting would be held in late November, preferably. Number three, these events could be made into a separate fall semester elections calendar. Number four, the search/appointment for this position should be a top priority for incoming administrations. And any other changes/additions to the chair of elections position should be worked with the current chair, Nessie. You want that in the code too? Nessie's, your name will be codified. This was suggested to Internal Affairs. It will go to Internal Affairs. All right, next one is titled from Senator Basilio, titled Update the Chair of Legislative Affairs Code. The request is number one, remove any and all mentions of the Assistant Chair of Legislative Affairs. Number two, add to the Chair of Legislative Affairs duties, must hold a lobby corps town hall every year to receive student input and to use that knowledge at chess. This should also be added to the lobby corps code. Side note, not a part of the request. If you want this added to the lobby corps code, you're going to have to submit another referral. Number three is at any other changes/additions to the code should be worked with the current Chair of Legislative Affairs, Kiri. Kiri's name is getting codified too. Suggested to Internal Affairs, it will go to Internal Affairs. Next one, titled Update the Chief of Staff's Code, from Senator Basilio. Request is number one, remove mentions of Chair of Clubs and Organizations, Chair of Personnel, Chair of Communications. Add instead Chair of Communications and Personnel. Number two, update Chair of Diversity and Inclusion to Chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Number three, add to duties, work with the Vice President and the Chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to host and create a training/workshop for AS leadership on how to run a meeting and how to communicate with their constituents, including but not limited to inclusive language, email etiquette, body language, media training, and attire. And to be done once each semester for cabinet members led by Chief of Staff and for Senate led by Vice President. And the suggested topics are Title IX training, DEI training. Suggested to Internal Affairs, it will go to Internal Affairs. Next one is from Senator Basilio, titled Add to the Duties of the Chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The request is number one, work with the Vice President and the Chief of Staff to host and create a training/workshop for AS leadership on how to run a meeting and how to communicate with their constituents. But included but not limited to inclusive language, email etiquette, body language, media training, and attire. To be done once each semester for cabinet members led by Chief of Staff and for Senate led by Vice President. Topics including Title IX training, DEI training. Number two, work with current Chief of Staff, Victoria, current VP Iman, current Chair of DEI, Omar. Wow, 3 more names getting codified. Suggested to Internal Affairs, it will go to Internal Affairs. And then the last one is, not the last one. The next one is from Senator Basilio, titled Coffee Bean Instead of Starbucks. The TUC, are you here? Carlos is on the TUC. Carlos, listen up. The request is, so are half the people in this room actually are also on the board. Never mind. The request is the university should purchase coffee bean products instead of Starbucks because they taste better and would most likely be sold at the same price. In parentheses, the drinks sold at Freudian Sip are expensive. Actually, if the university partnered with local coffee shops as boba shops, students would have better options and would be able to support local businesses and the community. Suggested to University Affairs, it will go to University Affairs. Carlos, did you take notes? Last one is submitted by Senator Gavino, titled Creating Job Descriptions for Cabinet Employees. The request is to continue last semester's investigation into creating HR job descriptions for cabinet members in line with other hourly student employees. This was suggested to Internal Affairs. It will go to Internal Affairs. That's it. I always like get into a fever dream when I like start reading legislative referrals. I'm like, am I in a Senate meeting right now? But that's all the legislative referrals. Thank you for your submissions, everyone. You're just getting more work every week, and that's beautiful. Are there any, actually, I'm going to move past announcements, given the time frame that we have, and then go into final roll call with Attorney General Martinez.
Vice President Khan.
Here.
Senator Aronson.
Here.
Senator Basilio. Here. Senator Flores. Here. Senator Gavino.
Here.
Senator Hamiliano Aragon.
Here.
Senator Harris.
Here.
Senator Caviglia.
Here.
Senator Miyoshi.
Here.
Senator Naripure.
Here.
Senator Nunez.
Here.
Senator Olgan.
Here.
Senator Perez.
Here.
Senator Pulliam. Senator Shirazadi.
Here.
Senator Toledo Carranza and Senator Tran.
Here.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I will adjourn this meeting at 11:33 a.m. Lunch. Where is it? Oh, wow, stop, everyone. Everyone in the gallery, we will be doing the tradition of the rose, then going to lunch. If you are an alumni, please grab a legacy pin on your way out by the roses as soon as you exit to the right. And there will be a group photo at the Matador statue as well. So stick around for that, and then you can get lunch. Sorry that we're withholding food from you.